Hello there, Eagles fans, and welcome back to our Eagles Therapy Podcast. My name is Basil.
And I'm Baz.
And we are recording Saturday, October 28th, 2023, the day after we have returned from Philadelphia, Pennsylvania on our little trip to Philly to watch the Eagles play. Just got back last night around 2 o'clock in the morning when we got home. It was a little bit of a rough trip back, long flight, getting our car and everything like that. But great time. We had a great time there. You want to talk on that a little bit, Dad?
Yeah, it was wonderful. I got to see a bunch of my friends. We got to go to the game, which is amazing. We saw some cousins. We went around all around the Delaware County area. I mean, we were upstate Pennsylvania. We were up in Hazleton, Pottsville. We were all over the place, and it was wonderful. Drank a lot of beer with a lot of good people. Had a lot of fun. Drank some Yuengling. Went to the tour. It was wonderful. So very, very good week. And I wish we had a few more days, but it's got to get back. We got to get back.
Of course, yeah, it was great. We got to go to Summit Hill, Nesquehoning, Doylestown, see some of the family up there. That was just so much fun. See some of the cemeteries that our relatives are in. I'm a big ancestry nut, so that was kind of the big, a big highlight of the trip for me was meeting everyone and seeing all that history in our family. Going over to the Pottsville. We got to go to Pottsville to go to the Yuengling brewery, which was great. We got a tour and we got a lot of good Yuengling beer on draft. That was great from the source. It was amazing. But other than that, we just had a great time. We got to watch the Eagles win, of course, in Philly, in Kelly Green. Just a great feeling, a great environment, a great experience, and then just the time we had with everyone around. We do want to give some shout-outs. We want to say give a shout-out to just all the Rabeda family, the Osilka family, Ginny, Karen, Denise. I know there's Rabedas in that as well. But
pals.
The Osilkas, Michael, who am I missing? Ginny, Debbie, Karen, all you guys, just great to see you, great to meet you. If I didn't meet you all,
good hospitality, good food.
Thank you for your hospitality. Give a shout out to John Nardone. He's listening now. It's my dad's best buddy from back in Philly. Great to see him again. We went to, say it again, the Colonial
Meat Market, the home of the little butcher.
Yeah, Colonial Meat Market. It was delicious. Great place.
Great place. Thanksgiving, make sure you go get your turkeys. You get your prime rib for Christmas, your hams. He's right there on McDade Boulevard, I believe. So it's kind of a little bit outside
Ridley Park.
Yeah, right outside Ridley Park. Folsom, I believe, is the name of the city.
Folsom.
Yeah, go see him. Check him out. He's run tight ship. We got in there. There's probably 20 people working in the place.
Yeah.
Cleaning, moving stuff around, back room, cutting, just packaging.
I guess highlight of the trip was really I got to have basically as many tasty cakes as I wanted. It was amazing. True. So good. And they had it there. And then also a shout out to Chris and Donna Dolan. We went down to their bar in Philly, South Philly.
The 10 Stone, down on South Street.
Down on South Street in Philly. It was great. Cheesesteak was phenomenal. We had a bunch of cheesesteaks. We got to go to Geno's. Yes. We got to go to Chubby's. We got to go to Pudge's. I'm wearing my shirt. I got an Eagles shirt at Pudge's. Yep. I had a great time there. Shout out to all of you guys.
Chris was our mixologist. We had some beer. They had the Yuengling on tap down there too, and it was wonderful. The food was amazing.
Oh, and lastly, a shout out again to Kathy Ann Higgins. Great to see you as well. Great to meet you, and I hope you're. Thanks for keeping it safe up there in Summit Hill, where our family's from. Thanks for keeping it good up there.
Yeah, for sure.
Beautiful town, beautiful. I'm really happy I got to go there. But all right, we'll won't waste any more of you guys' time. We'll go ahead and jump on into it. Little episode overview. Of course, we're going to be talking about the Eagles and Commanders game this upcoming Sunday tomorrow. Talk about some injury reports, some other news. Should be a pretty simple episode today. But before we jump into it, as always, we'll give a plug to the club. We are part of the Philadelphia Eagles Fan Club of Colorado Springs. That is on Facebook. Go look it up and join. They'll ask you some questions for you to be able to join. The club watches every single Eagles game at Frankie's Bar and Grill on Powers and Galley here in Colorado Springs. So if you're in the area, come on down. If you're not in the area, come on down as well. Fly on out, and we'd love to have you. We'll come say hi to you. We'll hang out with you. We'll have a good time and drink some beer and eat some wings while the Birds win. So
make some room for you too in the bar. We're not crowded like they are up in the Denver bar there, but so come on down. We had some people come down from Parker. We had some people come up from Pueblo. I mean, we've got people coming from all over I guess you'd say the Tri-County area out here. So, but yeah, make it out if you can.
Please.
Wonderful time.
Please,
Drink specials. They got food specials. Excellent.
For sure. All right, we'll go ahead and jump on into it. Of course, this Sunday, the Eagles are playing divisional rivals, Washington Commanders. Second divisional game of the year, and it's funny because it's our second game against them. We haven't even touched the other teams in the division yet. We're going to be playing them Sunday at 1 o'clock p.m. Eastern Time, 11 o'clock here for us in Colorado Springs. Happy to have another morning game. I think we only have one more the rest of the season against the Cardinals in December. And then the last week of the season is to be determined, so that could be, we'll see. But right now, we only have one more on the schedule. But what do we have as a weather watch, Dad?
Well, the weather watch tomorrow, they're playing down in RFK, which from what everyone knows, there are going to be a lot of Eagles fans there, but it's also a stadium that's fallen apart. So don't lean on any of the railings. Be careful going up and down the steps because I know the last year, year before, that they fell into Hertz almost and hurt them. Remember that whole collapse? So be careful out there. It's going to be 71 degrees, 30% chance of rain. I think it's going to be kind of humid, but just like 5-mile-an-hour winds. So it should be a pretty good fall day down there. Hopefully we get a lot of fans down there. And hopefully the game is not as tight as last time.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, that was a lot of fun. Last game we played them, I know it went to overtime and it was tough, but we don't want to do that again.
We're injured, and not so much now. So
you're right.
We're still figuring things out. Was that week 3? So I mean, it was early.
Yeah, week 3. Yeah, makes sense. Yeah. All-time series record. It's funny because we just covered Washington a few weeks ago, so not much has changed. But all-time series record, Washington leads 89-84-6. We're going to try to again get our way up there and try to even this out. Try to get to a winning record against them in the next few years. Over the last 25 years, we are 31 and they lead 31-20. No, we lead 31-20. Yes, sorry. We lead 31-20, so that extra win last couple weeks ago helped us out there. So we do kind of dominate them the last few years and everything like that. Jumping over, we already did kind of our favorite Washington moments a few weeks ago, so we don't really want to do that again.
Yes.
We'll go ahead and jump on to what we're looking forward to. So, Dad, what Eagle are you most looking forward to this Sunday?
Okay, so this Sunday I'm looking forward to Nolan Smith getting some more snaps. He only had 4 last week. Wow. Which is crazy when you think about it. But they've been working him in slowly, but it seems like every time he's on the field, he's making plays. Let's see. I was looking at it earlier. He had 4 plays, 1 sack, 1 tackle for loss, 1 quarterback hit, and 2 total tackles, which were 2 solo tackles.
Oh, wow.
So you're on the field for 4 plays. 50% of the time, you're making a solo tackle, one of them being a sack, one of them being a tackle for loss. Quarterback hit because of the sack. But, he needs to get more plays out there. And I know he's a linebacker, not technically a defensive end. And I was looking at, again, of course, we've done the whole Barnett-Smith thing. Barnett had 7 snaps, still hasn't had a sack in over 2 years, over 400 snaps. I think it's time, if it's possible, for us to work Nolan Smith in a little bit more and maybe have Barnett sit on the sideline or something. I've been pulling for him for years. You know that.
Yes,
He's one of my favorite guys. And he just hasn't done anything really in the last 2 years. And it's a shame. I was even happy when we re-signed him to his 6th year with us. We drafted him in the first round, I believe, many years ago. 2017. And he was very influential in the Super Bowl year. But, in 2 years, you don't even have a sack. And that's what you're here for. And I'm telling you, it's not like I'm one of these guys that was against him. I really wanted him to shine this year. And here we are. 40% into the season, he still doesn't have a sack, and we have one of the better defensive end lines in the league. So really, one should have just fallen in his lap by now. So I think it's time for him to maybe take a seat and get Nolan Smith on the field a little more. Again, I know he's a linebacker, but maybe start using him as a quasi-defensive end.
Yeah, he's more of a stand-up defensive end.
And he is. And I know when they show in the list linebackers, defensive ends, they have them separated. So it's not like they're there. But no, he's my guy to watch this week. And I'm really hoping that he continues to get 50% of the snaps he's on the field making tackles and tackles for loss.
Yeah, it's kind of hard because Reddick, it's kind of the same thing as Reddick. Reddick is technically a linebacker, but he's a defensive end. He's an edge rusher, he's not. He does go out for coverage, but he's not a linebacker. He's a defensive end. My Eagle I'm most looking forward to is going to be Reed Blankenship. Reed, of course, coming back from an injury to his ribs, missed last week's game. Surprisingly, the defense was still able to do great against the Dolphins and kind of hold them off. But really looking forward to him coming back, especially because it'll be his first game with Kevin Byard. Everyone's first game with him. But he'll be playing alongside Kevin Byard. They went to the same college. They didn't play together, but they went to the same college. They worked out in the offseason together because they knew each other because, as alumni, he would go back and visit and stuff like that. So he knew Reed pretty well. So hoping to see some good stuff from both of them, especially Reed. I'm excited for him to come back. I just think he's such a good player, and he just plays his heart out every single play. So really excited to see what he's got and what he'll do this week alongside a new other great safety. You know, I mean, the shutdown of the backside should be phenomenal, but can't get my hopes up. I never like to get my hopes up anymore. But what are you drinking over there?
I got myself a Bud Light green bottle from the game the other night.
Yeah. That was awesome. We also over there in the corner, if you can see, we got the Yangling. We had a Yangling beer that we brought back. Got it in the Bud Lights beer koozies they were passing out at the game, and we got the Eagles Bud Lights. It's so cool. It's awesome.
Nice.
Yeah. And then next up over to our matchup of the game. What do you have as the matchup of the game?
Well, I think the matchup of this game is going to be our defensive backs against their passing game, because the last time we played them, and hopefully I didn't steal any of your thunder, but last time we played, they threw the ball all over us. And I mean, even though we should have put the game away, and we've been through that, Hal was passing the ball all over us. Now, we were injured. We had some new players out in the field. Hopefully this week, from last week when we shut down the Dolphins passing game, which was incredible. We also shut the running game down too. And for me, I'm going to be watching that passing game. Now, the key to the game to me is going to be us shutting their running game down again. Gibson, I believe, the running back, shut him down just like we did against the Dolphins, where they, Mostert got, I think, 5 yards a carry, 9 carries, 45 yards, but their team only got 45 yards. So the other guys that ran the ball didn't go anywhere. They went backwards. So anyway, we could shut down their running game and make them a passing team and start using some of our younger guys, where we got Ellis and we've got Sidney Brown. Now we've got Byard out there. We got Blankenship back, Bradbury, Slay. I mean, really, this is the week that I'm looking for at least one interception. I don't want to say two, but at least one interception, if not 2 or 3, and a boatload of sacks. I mean, this is really it. Last week's game was the game that we kind of, I would say, maybe turned a corner, or like you said earlier, that's going to be the game we look to on this season and say that's the game where we turned it around.
I agree.
Just like the Rams in 2017 and some of the other ones.
I really believe that, yeah.
But yes, I believe that this turned it around, and now that we got Byard on the team, and after a bye week, He's rested. He's had 2 weeks off and a good week to learn our system, and hopefully with the D-line going crazy this week, that we're going to get that ball out of Sam's hands and hopefully put it on the ground or put it in our hands.
Yeah. Yeah, I completely believe that last week's game was one of those games that if I don't want to get too ahead of myself, but if we were to win the Super Bowl this year, if we were to go that far and have one of those historic seasons for the Eagles' history, that Eagles-Dolphins game is going to be talked about for the rest of our lives, just like the Rams game in 2017. It's the turning point of our season. But I do agree with you there. Yeah, the big running back they have is Brian Robinson. Gibson runs a little bit.
That's who I'm thinking.
Brian Robinson, he's the big name.
He had a pretty good game against us last time. I think they outrushed us, actually.
He's averaging 3.8 yards a carry, 46 yards a game. So let's keep on pushing that number down.
Yeah.
But my matchup of the game is going to be DeAndre Swift versus the linebackers of the Commanders. Swift, he hasn't been running as well as we'd like to see, like he was early on against Tampa Bay, Minnesota. It just hasn't been happening. I really want to see him run the ball well as catch the ball well. He's been catching the ball pretty well the last few weeks, but I want to see some more ground game with him. Even Scott and Gainwell, if we can get them involved, or maybe Penny.
One question for you there, sorry. Yeah. Is Juergens back this week?
No. Yeah.
So
this is his last.
I don't know if that is why we're not running the ball like we were.
I think so.
My goodness gracious. The last few weeks, like you said, it hasn't. And that kind of hurt us, because when he went down, and then, of course, Johnson went down a couple games ago, and he was out the rest of the game, it really changed the way we were running the ball like crazy.
Yeah.
And really the last few weeks, I mean, there was a few good busts last week. Swift had that big one right at the end of the game. Thought he was going to take it in the end zone and put us up by 21, which would have been great, because then we need down. But it would have been great. But, Gainwell had a good game. I was looking at the carries too, or even the snap count. I'm sorry, I was looking at the snap count, and Swift had I think 49, and I think Gainwell had 23. So I mean, Gainwell didn't have that many carries. Maybe I'm wrong, but I mean, he's been staying in the game and playing, which is good. That's a good thing. But we'd like to see Swift, like you say, get on the ball and get us 100 yards rushing.
Yeah. Gainwell only had 8 carries for 16 yards last week. But I think we talked about is a few weeks ago, Gainwell did it as well. He didn't get a lot of yards. He didn't get a lot of great, long runs or big rushes, but he got a lot of good yards, and that's what he did in Miami. I'm sorry, in Philly
got the touchdown
against Miami. Yeah, he had a lot of runs that were meaningful, even though they weren't 4 yards or 15 yards. He only averaged 2 yards a carry, but he got a few yards that were big time.
What was his long? Do you see his long?
Oh, I don't think it says it on here.
Sometimes it
should, but I went
because I think Swift had a 22-yard for long.
Yeah, game only at a 5 for a long. But it was at 5 the yard. Yeah. It was on the 10-yard line.
Yes, and got to the 5-yard line. That's right.
And then he got the touchdown.
Exactly. So I mean, they are using him in that situation.
So I think Swift versus the linebackers is going to be big because they're also potentially they might be missing their big linebacker in Cody Barton. He did not practice the other day on Thursday. I don't know about the Friday. They didn't release their Friday report just yet, but it looks like he's trending upwards. He probably will play, but if he's a little bit injured on his ankle, I think Swift, that's going to be a big matchup is to watch him versus Swift and see how the run game goes as well as the pass game. I'm going to touch on some Washington rankings here, just their defensive and offensive. Total yards, they get 336 a game. That's 20th in the league in offense. Passing yards, 211. That's 19th. Rushing yards, 86. That's 26th. Points, 20 points a game. That's 20th. And third down percentage, 29.4. That's 31st in the league. Wow. So offensively, I mean, I don't want to get too ahead of myself because the last time we played them, we went to overtime, and then we lost to the Jets.
And so, we always play them, no matter who's good and who's bad. They play us tough.
Washington always plays us tough.
Got to get a big lead early, and hopefully do our thing.
Defensively, yards 389. That's 28th. 248 in passing yards. That's 27th. Rushing yards 125. That's 23rd. Points 27.1. That's 29th. And third down percentage 38.4%. That's 15th. So, both sides of the ball, they're towards the bottom of the league.
Right,
they're really towards the bottom of the league.
67%.
At least past the halfway point. Right. So we really should we should dominate them. I know "should" is not a word you should be using.
Should kick around. Yeah,
because nowadays anything can happen any given week. I mean, it's insane.
Learn your lesson.
Yeah, true.
Keep your nose to the grindstone. Win the game. Put them away when you get an opportunity.
But going through the statistics, we really should be able to run on them. We should be able to pass on them. And the defensive line, I mean, they've let up 40 sacks in the season. That's the most in the league. On pace to be the most in NFL history, I believe I saw.
Yeah.
Because of the one extra game.
Right.
Or something like that. They're on pace to be the most in NFL history sacked-wise. So let's help that out and push that forward a little bit this week.
Let's see. So they're in 7 games, they got 40. In 14 games, they'd have 80. So throw another 3 in there. They'd be close because I believe the record's 105, 106, something like that, maybe 108.
Yeah.
I think it was lower. I think it was 105. And I think we're the ones that hold the record. So
no. So, well, it depends. So we're the most sacked team ever in 85. But it was when we had Jaworski and Cunningham. Yes. The most sacked quarterback was David Carr. And 6. I'm not too sure.
I heard it.
But Sam Howell is on pace to be the most sacked quarterback ever.
Let's help that number. Let's help that number out this week.
We already touched on Derek Barnett a little bit, but I was going to say something about it as well. I really hope we can trade him before the trade deadline because I'm getting a little bit tired of it, tired of having him. When is the trade deadline, Dad?
Halloween.
It is Halloween? Okay.
Probably 2 in the afternoon Halloween. Now, before you go on, I know I hate interrupting you, but what do you think we could get for him, or at least hope to get for him from him?
I would expect nothing more than a 5th and maybe 6th round pick.
If that.
Probably a 6th round pick, if that. Or if we get a 6th and a 7th, something like that. I would love if we could get player for player. Maybe there's a team out there like the Seahawks or the Lions or the Buccaneers, someone like that who has a defensive back that they don't really have anymore. They drafted him 3rd overall a few years ago. He's not panning out. Yeah. We'll try him out. You guys try this guy out.
A high salary guy. But I think if we trade him, it would be Barnett and a 5th for another team's 5th, but we get the lower, we get their 10th pick in the 5th round. We're giving them the 25th round pick. Because I don't think we're going to get much, if anything. I mean, really, any trade we could get would be perfect.
Oh, I agree.
I mean, even if it's something,
Yeah, if we could get him for a pick or a player or a couple picks or something like that, I'd be happy with it because I think it's time to move on. Yeah. He did his job here. Not great, but he did his job. He helped us win a Super Bowl.
And we didn't throw him on the trash heap. We tried him and kept him bringing. We brought him back again. We brought him back again this year. And, when we brought him back, I remember when we re-signed him at first, a lot of people were down. And I'm like, I still I believed. I don't believe anymore. That was my belief.
You were a big supporter for him, and I'm with you there. But This year, he's got 3 tackles, I believe, one solo. In his career in 72 games, he's got 21 and a half sacks.
It's a first-round pick.
I mean, it's a first-round pick. It's just I can't do it anymore. No. It's also a first-round pick if we want to get dark and get sad and get me upset and riled up. Right. It's a first-round pick that we took ahead of T.J. Watt. Could have had T.J. Watt who, people always talk about Micah Parsons as the next Lawrence Taylor. We already have the next Lawrence Taylor with T.J. Watt. Right. Dude's unbelievable. Kind of frustrates me. First ever player to have 70 sacks and 7 interceptions in his first 7 seasons.
Wow.
Kind of makes me upset. Yeah, Barnett, I mean, I know he missed all of last year.
So, right, and he was injured before, too.
He's had a few injuries before. His second year, he only played 6
Didn't he break Reggie White's sack record in college?
Please don't. I don't want to hear that. I'm so tired of it.
I heard it every time.
The worst thing I can hear, I can't move on yet. The worst thing I hear is when people talk about college. Dude, there's players in the NFL. I can't think of his name. Jamar Chase. No. Jalen Waddle.
Okay.
He plays for Miami. He's amazing. He never had more than 700 yards in his college career. He never had barely any receiving yards his entire time in the NFL in college.
Right.
And I'm just like, see, don't talk to me about statistics. Don't talk to me about stats anymore.
What you need to be in college, yeah.
Yeah, it just bothers me.
He's been a great pro.
And that was the problem with Barnett. Yeah, so he had more than 700. His first year in college, 848, 560, then 591.
Still.
That's it. I mean, that's it. I know he was playing for Alabama. So
some guys have 1,800 in 1 year.
Oh, yeah.
And that's 1,800 in 3 years.
Oh, yeah. Well, Devontae had, 1,600 1 year?
Yes, he was incredible. Yeah.
He is incredible still. But, yeah, Barnett, I'm tired of hearing the college thing. I'm also, more than anything, I'm tired of hearing about, he's having a great offseason. He's having a great camp. Yeah. J.J. Arcega-Whiteside was the greatest camp player in NFL history by accounts of articles I'd see from NBC Sports Philadelphia or Bleeding Green Nation. They'd say, J.J. Arcega-Whiteside, he's having a great camp. Dude, I'm tired of it. I don't want to hear about a great camp. I want to hear about a great season.
Some stats in the season.
Yeah. I'm going to jump on over to our injury report. Dealing with a little bit of injury this week. Hopefully nothing that will affect us too much. Right now we have Jordan Davis. He is listed as questionable with his hamstring. He injured his hamstring earlier this week.
Thursday in practice, I heard he injured it.
Yeah, Bradley Roby.
Because Sirianni says they practice hard.
Yeah, for some reason.
Maybe not a good idea.
Bradley Roby, he is, of course, out. We kind of anticipated he'd miss maybe 2 or 3 weeks with his shoulder injury. James Bradbury, he was limited participant yesterday. Or actually, I guess I have the stuff for today, so I should just be saying that.
Right.
Full participants, limited participants, Bradbury and Cunningham, both for ankles. Full participants, Reed and Milton for their ribs and heel. So they should be good to go. Everyone is listed as unspecified except for Bradley Roby is out. Jordan Davis questionable, so that's a little worrisome. We don't want to be missing Jordan Davis here. You want him to play as much as possible.
Not the way he's been playing this year. He's been great. Every game. Him and Carter, just one or the other, just unbelievable.
They've been phenomenal.
Yes.
Yeah, phenomenal. So other than that, though, that's all I have for the injury report for us. As far as the Washington injury report, I kind of touched on it. Cody Barton's the big one. He did not participate yesterday. That's a big deal. He's probably going to play, but he didn't participate Wednesday or Thursday, so that's kind of a big deal. If he's missing, that's a huge weak spot of their defense with DeAndre Swift having the upper hand there with the linebackers in the run game. So we'll see what happens there. Might develop into something, might not. I don't like to wish for injuries, so I hope he is out there because I want to beat a team when they're at their best. Wow. So we'll see what happens there. But other than that, they don't have too many notable injuries over in Washington. They're looking pretty good. And same with us. I mean, we only have the Bradley Roby, but Eli Ricks and the other, Josiah Scott, they both played great against Miami. It was phenomenal to watch them. It was so much fun, dude. They were in Kelly Green. They looked awesome.
Yeah.
I didn't want to talk about it too much because we already talked about it.
Yeah.
But gosh, it was so much fun to watch. What a great game.
Yeah. It was wonderful.
It's insane. But
it's great just sitting up there, watching it from above. You can see plays that opening up and what's happening on the field before it happens. And it was incredible. And the way Josiah Scott came in, and that one play on Hill, and he made him run backwards 5 yards. And
it's unfortunate because I
covered him just perfect. It was great.
It was a bummer because we stayed we stayed at a bunch of different hotels when we were there. We went to in Philly, we went to Jersey, Cherry Hill. We went to Egg Harbor. I mean, we were staying at a bunch of different hotels.
Really Park.
So the hard part was some nights we had great hotels with like YouTube on their TVs and stuff like that. Some nights we didn't. So we were just watching the ESPN highlights and we didn't really get the full highlights. So we didn't really get to watch the real highlights of the game until like 3 days after the game. So it was rough because We didn't. We kind of missed some plays. We didn't have an under the nest prepared for last week, really.
Correct.
And that Josiah Scott play was absolutely an under the nest. I can't point out when it happened, but he instead of going at Hill and missing him and letting him, he stood with him, made Hill go outside, and Hill lost 2 yards on the play, 3 yards.
It's kind of like when you get in the way of the guy in your hallway at work, where you just he just kept him at bay.
Yeah, he did.
And I mean, for like literally 3 or 4 seconds.
True.
And then in came Slay with the help,
and Slay pushed him out.
He ended up losing like 5 yards from where he caught it to where he ended up going out of bounds. And it was genius because it was inside the 10. It was great, 8 or 15 or something.
I mean, that's probably what Sean Desai was preaching last week was, hey, these guys are fast. You don't have to go at them. Just make them go where you want them to go. Facilitate them outside and make them lose yards and settle for something. But that was a great game. Josiah Scott had a great play. So those guys in the slot, I mean, Ricks, of course, won the game with his 4th down. You know, they had a great – those guys are playing really well. These are young guys that are playing good. These are guys that are I don't know if we're going to want to take snaps away from them when people get back from injury. Sidney Brown, we're going to want to get him some snaps in the slot this week maybe. We'll see what happens, but, man, it's a good problem to have.
It seems like the upward trajectory is unbelievable, where just a few weeks ago we were like, oh, my gosh, we're picking guys off somebody else's practice squad. It's like Scott, and he played great, and he just came in.
Yeah. Things are looking good for the future of our outside corners and safeties and stuff like that. Reed still being a young guy. Eli Ricks, very young. Sidney Brown. We're just looking good for the future. I'm happy about. But you have anything else to say about the game this weekend? We're excited. We're going to be back at our bar for the first time in 2 weeks.
We'll be there about 10 o'clock, which will put us about an hour before the first game start.
Yeah.
But, we're going to be there early, and we're looking forward to it. Looking forward to being home, back in our home again.
We're finally back.
Yeah, it was great.
It was great, but we're just so excited to be back.
Miss our guys.
Absolutely. We miss our friends, yeah. We'll go ahead and jump into some other stuff. We're going to gloss over this real quick because the Phillies, I don't want to talk about it. I'm furious. Everyone in the city was pretty upset. It was a bummer. It would have been great for them to win and go on to the World Series while we were there. In Philly, it would have been such an incredible thing to do, to be around. You know, we could just
had a great chance to win the World Series this year.
Absolutely.
Because now that Houston's out, and that's the team that we chased and lost last year, and now Texas is in it, and, it's the unknown, it's just the bats went cold. That's it. That's baseball.
Really hurts. I don't want to talk about it too long, but the Union, they start their playoff run tonight. They're playing against the New England Revolution.
Pretty soon, 2 hours, 3 o'clock.
2 minutes. Yeah, they're going to be playing in 2 minutes. So we got to get this done with, all right?
There you go.
Jump off here so Steve can watch some soccer. So go Union. Hopefully that goes along. The Sixers started their season, pretty strong against the Bucks, ended up losing, unfortunately, by 1 point. A nice little buzzer beater to make it 1 point. Overall, Maxey looks great. Embiid looked okay. That new kid, Kelly Oubre, we signed him out. I guess he's not a kid; he's a lot older now, but he's been in the league for a while. But he played really well. I mean, I think he got 27 off the bench, 31 off the bench. Maybe he was playing phenomenal, hitting from 3. At one point, he was like 5 for 6. He played great. So looking to see the Sixers continue on with a good season. They're playing against the Raptors tonight. Hopefully, we can trade Harden for something. I'm tired of that guy being on the team. You are even more so than I am. The Flyers, they started off looking pretty good. They're 4-3-1. They did lose to the Anaheim Ducks today. I was keeping track of that.
Today?
They lost. Yeah, they lost 7-4 earlier. Yeah, very early game. Lost 7-4. So they're 4-3-1. They're doing pretty good as far as last year. They were bottom 3 in the league. So they're doing pretty good. So that's good. And then Penn State, they won today. They beat Illinois 33-24, but it's on the downward trajectory there, unfortunately. They lost to Ohio State while we were there, and
it's tough.
It's just,
I mean, still, 9-1, 10-1, get a bowl game. It's the same thing, but
it's the same thing with Penn State. Get your hopes up, and
it's better than being 5-5 or 8-8 or whatever. But
it's true.
It's just they're that close. They're a good team, but it's just
it's how it is every year. They get highly ranked. They're number 7 in the league. They win every game. They go 6-0. They lose to Ohio State, and they lose to Michigan, and then they go 10-2, and then they win their bowl game.
Right, exactly.
Which is cool, I guess. But I'd love something to happen finally for once. But other than that, that's all I have for the other sports of Philly and Penn area. We're all out of baseball season for us, but we're entering basketball season and hockey season. So Got some other stuff that we'll talk about in the future when we get there. But all right, other than that, we'll go ahead and say our goodbyes here. You can follow us on Facebook, Instagram, or Twitter. If you like our Eagles Therapy podcast, do us a favor. Rate and subscribe wherever you get your podcasts. If you're watching on YouTube, please like and subscribe. Comment below any questions you have or anything you want us to talk about in the future. You can email us your questions and comments at oureaglestherapy@gmail.com. You can also follow us on Twitter at oureaglestherap, I believe. I don't think I got the whole Y in there. You'll see. I know, right? But other than that, from all of us here at Our Eagles Therapy Podcast, my name is Basil.
And I'm Baz.
Go Birds.
Fly, Eagles, fly.